All right, so thank you all so much for being here today. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Mark.
We are the doctor and the chef, and it's great to see many new faces. So we are here in Natural Grocers. We do this once a month. We were actually gone last month, but we like to come here usually on a Sunday, and we share a recipe or two with you guys, and we want to just dialogue about nutrition and plant-based eating and health and whatever it is that you want to talk about. So at this point, we could, I think, say that we're longtime vegans. Vegan has worked out for us. So, and I guess I can only speak for myself, but I feel like I've been through over the years all of those challenges that you can have with wanting to be more healthy and eat more plant-based, and the nutrition issues and all of these things. So I also feel like, you know, even the years that as humans we've been using plants for food and medicine, we're still learning. So we both like to feel like we're always still learning, and we're open, and we want to share that learning with you. So we want to hear your questions and your challenges, and we want to be here to support you. That's why we do this. So
cool, thanks. And Ashley is a trained naturopathic doctor, one of the country's top naturopathic medical schools in Portland, and I've been a plant-based chef for over 20 years, and I travel internationally teaching workshops and trainings. And I have a sample of our cookbook. It's the 7th cookbook that we've done, so we're working on number 8. So we've been around the block a little bit, and so we're excited to share with you how easy it is to incorporate healthy plant-based foods into your diet, whether it's something you want to do once a week, every now and then, or if you want to take the dive and just give it a shot. So we're here to help people in whatever way we can. For the purposes of this demo, can everyone pretend it's 90 degrees in here? Because when I pick the recipes in the heat of the summer, I'm gonna do a Mintade, which is a refreshing beverage, and also a cold soup, a watermelon gazpacho. And the way I like to show people recipes is what I call the template recipe format. So we're going to do 2 recipes, but you're actually going to learn hundreds and even thousands of variations. So anyone want to keep track of how many variations we cover? It should be like 2,764 or something like that. So we'll keep mental note of it. So for this, everyone likes to have a nice refreshing beverage, especially when it's like 90 degrees out like it is today. And
probably will be again.
Yeah. So this is called a Mintade, and so most everyone has had a lemonade, which is really simply lemon juice. You could just do lemon juice, water, and a sweetener, and then you have lemonade. So this is just a way to take your lemonade up a notch. It's inspired by a recipe that I had in Amsterdam, and it was really it used blended mint in the drink, which I really enjoyed. So this is all precisely measured. You have the recipe in front of you there. And so it's mint and ice. And now I'm adding lemon juice, but what do you think you can replace the lemon juice with?
Lime juice.
Lime juice, good. You could even do it as an orange juice base if you want. So you can rotate through different citrus. I'm going to, instead of adding water, I'm going to be adding coconut water to this. So that's just going to give it another layer of flavor. This is actually my top recommended coconut water. Has anyone had this brand before? It's really good. It's as close to the real thing as you're going to get. And
Mark knows coconuts.
Yeah.
From Hawaii.
I lived in Hawaii for many years, so I consider myself somewhat of a coconut connoisseur. So this is definitely top of the line for the coconut water. I'm going to add a little bit of agave nectar as a sweetener, but what can you replace the agave nectar with? Stevia, xylitol. You can use coconut nectar, which is a favorite that I like to use now. You could even use maple syrup, and then you can rotate through your sweeteners. So with the template recipe, and I'll talk about it more when we do the soup, I like looking at it as spinning wheels. So each component is a different layer, and by changing the component, you create a new recipe. So the advantage of template recipes is, say you were looking at this recipe and it had lemon juice and agave, but you didn't have lemon juice or agave. Normally you might have just flipped through the cookbook and just passed over it, but once you start to learn how to look at recipes as templates, you can see how to change the ingredients to create your own variation. So it helps people break out of the recipe box. And not to throw a curveball at you or anything, but I just saw some vanilla extract in there, so I thought I would use that. And then also some rose water. And you want to make sure it's culinary grade, and so it looks like by your expression that it's culinary grade. And
it actually is. You can use it both internally and externally. This
so
brand.
This will be like a rose lime Mintade. And what else do you think you can use to flavor your Mintade? Say you wanted to have another unique flavor. What's that? You can use berries, and I was thinking also lavender flowers also. You can make like a lavender lemonade. So with this, I'm just gonna blend this up on this hot summer day approaching 90 degrees. And this is your Mintade. And actually I'm going to make sure you want to make sure it's blended really well with this, with the blender. If you have a good strong blender, it's helpful. With the Vitamix, you want to start on low variable speed and then build your way up, and save the most important part of your conversation until the volume is as high as it gets. Like that. That's an example of what not to do. You get it up to the high variable before you kick it into high gear. And this will be our first snack. And I'll be just getting this ready and getting ready for our second dish.
So yeah, I'll just talk a little bit more about this drink. So Mark mentioned why we chose this, because it's our summertime recipe. And we like to do recipes within season and to consider your environment and your climate and your constitution when you're making your meals. So while this is great for a really hot day, that would be what we would be thinking of, it's also super hydrating. And I think every time I'm here talking, I'm always talking about the importance of hydration, because often, especially in Colorado, we don't realize how much water we need, and that we might be dehydrated and not realize it. So this is a really great hydration drink with the coconut water and the lemon and the mint. And also, you could maybe imagine with that blend, what organ system are you also supporting with this drink? The mint, just the mint and the lemon in and of itself is really great for your digestive system. So you're helping your digestive system, and you're also hydrating. And I learned something really recently about how we absorb foods, and it was about the mental and emotional aspect of our physical body, so that something sweet works in our neurological system to help us absorb actually better. So having, and this was a conversation about kids not drinking water. So having like a little bit of a flavor, there's a reason why you might drink more of it if there's a little bit of a flavor, because in your mind is able to relax in a way that you're actually absorbing it differently. So the little bit of sweetness is also helpful there. I just thought I would point that out too.
Cool. And just because I saw some more people entering, I'm going to just make a little bit of a bigger batch here. So that's what I'm doing. This is going to be wonderful on this hot 90-degree summer day here in Colorado. So that's that's our beverage. And then for the soup, I chose to do a watermelon gazpacho. Many of you probably have had gazpacho before that's tomato based. So we're entering into what I like to call the dessert soup realm. One of the last books I did was called the 30-Minute Vegan Soups On, and I like to promote it as vegan soups for the chicken soul. Sometimes that takes a second to sink in. So I had a full section just on raw soups. So it's a way on the hot summer days that you could either utilize some of the fruit that's in abundance. You could have it as a dessert soup or as a standalone snack, or just something that you enjoy before your meal as part of your summer feasts. And the distinction between a soup and a beverage is there's a gray area. So usually it's a little more hearty if it's going to be in the raw soup realm. So what we're going to do is we're going to be blending ingredients to form the base of our soup, and then we'll be adding other ingredients in for flavor and texture. So before I go and blend the ingredients in here, I'm starting with watermelon. But what are some other ingredients you could use for gazpacho?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes are good. You could also do like a mango gazpacho. You could mix tomato and mango. So there's ways that you could change the base of the soup. Traditionally with gazpachos, we're looking at in the Mexican realm. And before I add the jalapeno in there, 1 to 10, how spicy do you guys like your food?
Getting some no.
Okay, I'm glad no one said 11, because then I have this for them to eat in front of the group if someone had said 11. So no 11. So I'm just going to go light on the jalapeno just a little bit, and then I'm adding some chili powder and then chipotle powder. And can anyone tell me anything about chipotle? What it is? It's smoked jalapeno, and this is one of my favorite spices to travel with. A little bit goes a long way. I travel internationally with my chipotle powder. So I'll go just a little bit light there. And then, again, I'm going to add some, you could add water or coconut water. I'm going to add some coconut water. From Hawaii, everything we can do with coconut, we do. So we're going to put the coconut water in there, and then I'm going to blend this up. And actually, again, since it's a bigger group, I'm just going to go more on the watermelon.
It's always interesting to blend together these opposite flavors. So we have like sweet and a little bit of spicy. And I'm always thinking about what it's doing in your body and what nutrients you're getting. So it's interesting just to take notice of how you feel when you drink this. It's like it might be a little bit of unexpected spicy, but it's also stimulating your circulation a little bit too while you're getting a sweet drink. So,
and a little bit of lime juice here.
Some more sweetness too.
There. So this now I'm going to blend again, starting on low this time, and then building up. Now for this, I'm going to be adding, so now for texture, I'm going to be adding some diced cucumber, some jicama, and can anyone tell me what jicama is? It's a tuber. Sometimes they call it like a potato apple almost. It has this. It's a nice water content. It has this subtle sweet flavor, and it's used a lot in Mexican cuisine. And so for that, I'm going to just be adding, just for some crunch, some jicama, some cucumber, and then some cilantro. And this will be our summer soup for this hot 90-degree day here in Colorado. And I'm gonna head over to that station and get everything ready for you guys.
And I'll talk more about the soup. So this is actually a great combo, the jicama and the cucumber and the watermelon, and they all have vitamin C in them. And they also, one thing that I think is a great thing is that they have potassium. So we are hydrating ourselves, and we're also increasing potassium. And because many of our diets we talk about, they have too much sodium. But the reason is sodium is necessary in the body. You know, it tells us when to hold on and when to let go of fluids for having our blood pressure be at the right where it needs to be, but not go too low. So instead, we should maybe think about more potassium instead of less sodium. And all of these have potassium in them. So another thing is, this is cilantro, right?
Yeah.
Just using like little bits of herbs in anything, and you know, we're doing it in a drink here, we're doing it in a cold soup, is giving you extra minerals, a little bit of minerals here and there, and also even the mint, any of those herbs, basil, mint, cilantro, parsley, all of them are antimicrobial. So you would have to take really, really high amounts of those for them to be like an antibiotic. But what I think is nice is that we're getting little bits of them. So getting herbs in our food all of the time can help to kind of modulate what we call our microbiome. So, you know, we're keeping the good bacteria, and we're keeping all of the bacteria in check, so it's not overgrowing by doing that. So it's just another little extra thing.
This all may be big news to you guys, but it actually pales in comparison to the fact that the vegan Gerber baby just fell asleep. So,
oh my gosh, yay!
Which is an added bonus. So the blender sometimes puts him to sleep. I'm just making a little bit of a bigger batch here.
Yeah, and just again, like, this is so interesting because while it's very cooling, it also has these herbs and spices and a little bit of jalapeno that's stimulating your circulation. So it's helping your blood flow. It's bringing more oxygen to your blood, and also helping with detoxification. So see if you notice a little something when you try it.
Does anyone have any questions specifically about the recipes we did or plant-based lifestyle in general? So we have certain talking points to cover, but just want to hear what you guys, any questions that you guys might have. Anyone? Okay.
Anything about the recipes? Got it. Pretty simple.
So the question was, gazpacho usually has onion in it. I left the onion out just to think in terms of food combining, that what foods could get away with the watermelon as the base of the soup, and I thought like jicama and cucumber could be a nice combo. So I didn't put in, like, garlic is also traditionally used. So it's a little outside the box, but you could experiment with the onion if you wanted. And I will put just a pinch of salt in. Salt, even with sweet foods, does bring out the flavor of the other ingredients. And then just a splash of pepper. So as far as a plant-based lifestyle, we like to say just it's usually one of 3 doors that would bring a person in through a plant-based lifestyle. Can anyone guess what those doors are? Door number 1. Health or medical reasons, that's usually a big factor. Has anyone seen that recent movie, What the Health? So we recommend that one, and there's another one, Eating You Alive, which is good. That I have a brief cameo in that movie, very brief, like 6 seconds. And what would door number 2 be? sustainability or environmental. So that the movie we like to recommend for that is it's called Cowspiracy. And then what would door number 3 be? More for like animal rights reasons. So usually one of those 3 doors is what brings people into our classes and trainings, because they'll hear about the benefits of a plant-based lifestyle, but they're not quite sure how, what to do next. And so most of our trainings and classes, like, they're not vegan. People take them are vegans, but most of them, I like to say, are in the category of the veg curious. And they've heard about the benefits of a plant-based lifestyle, but they're just not sure, how to make it part of their everyday life. So I like to say the vegan police aren't present in our courses. When we do raw foods, though, the raw food police is there. So any raw food violations, and I hit a button under the counter and a trap door will open under you, and the person that's left would be a vegan survivor. So today, actually,
we're okay, right?
We're okay. So
raw.
Today is actually.
What about these?
The spices would be questionable for 100% raw, but usually people would take them on a certain percentage.
Yeah. So speaking of the movies, movies aren't always perfect, but what they do is they appeal to something deeper in us. So that's why I think many people are moved by these movies. And this is what we want to support people with, is if you're feeling from a deeper place that you want to just be more healthy or care more about the environment or, care more about the animals. Like, it's not really about doing everything perfect right away, but kind of moving through those things that might be challenges. And one of the biggest ones often can be support from whatever, your environment around you, whether it's family or your workplace or something like that. So I find that being able to have an experience with food, to cook a little bit at home, make your own food, can make all the difference in the world, because that's really what's important, is for us to understand where our food comes from, where our nutrients come from, and what we're actually putting in our body. And then you can go even further to find like what actually has to happen for us to have that, and try to just do our best and making, honestly, like, the world as best a place as we can by doing that. And that's really what we do by eating in this way. So, does anyone have any comments about the movie, or what brings you here, or anything like that?
How did you guys hear about this event? Sign in the front. Good. Cool. Did anyone go to the Veg Fest the other weekend in Colorado? Cool.
Yeah.
That was our first Veg Fest here.
Using these for that.
I can do that. So we do have a number of events on the calendar. We're going to start to serve this now for you guys. We're definitely open to any questions anyone has. We were going to ask our partners, Sean and Olivia, to say a few words while we get this ready, and then we'll cycle back and some more commentary to share.
Almost a year ago, and my background is I was raised vegetarian, but not a very healthy vegetarian. We ate no meat, so that meant chips, candy bars, whatever else, mac and cheese, whatever else wasn't meat is what we kind of grew up on. And so now, as an adult, we're raising teenagers.
It's 26.
And Mark and Ashley really helped us do that. And so what we do is we help food, wellness, nutrition, fitness people marketing in their message out to the world. So this has been an eye-opening education for us, and also to help them grow. So we actually have quite a few events that we have. If I got your email address, then I will be able to email you the recipes that we did
What's
today.
That?
We have
26.
a nutrition chart, which is really cool. It's a whole list of foods, what type of nutrients it has in it, and then what it also can be used for. So you're looking at heart health, or you can look up different things. So I'll email that to you guys as well as a list of all of our events. The three that I want to touch on real fast is Mark is doing a 3-day VeganFusion cooking culinary course in Lafayette. And that is going to be August 12th, 2 days.
That one's actually 2 days, and that's
Saturday and Sunday.
next weekend in Lafayette.
So if you guys are interested, I do have a flyer specifically for that 2-day culinary class. We also have a 3-day course coming up, and this is one that is really exciting because it's here in this room, and it's 3 days. So you have to imagine being here with us for 3 full days. It's 16 hours of instruction. So the cool thing about it is that over the course of 3 days, we'll kind of do something similar to this, where Mark will actually demo different recipes for us. You guys will get up and have a chance to go into the kitchen and work with him, cook the recipes.
This is
we get to eat
26.
together for 3 days, and then actually takes us through everything that all of the ingredients and all of the health benefits of the recipes. But then we do things like facial steams and other natural products. Here, you guys get to make your own medicine as well. So that's really exciting. That is not until September. It's September 22nd to 24th. I have about 15 copies of this flyer. So if you guys want to take the flyer, just let me know. I will also email it to you. So I know there's some people in the room who don't have email, so I want to make sure you guys get this. And then lastly, actually I have 4 things, but this one we're excited about is the trip to Bali. So if you guys have been to Bali or ever wanted to go to Bali, we're headed to Bali for a 7-day retreat. And this is actually where we get to stay, which is exciting. But again, it's 7 days of cooking our own food, going to the markets in Bali, picking out the fruit and the vegetables of the land there, and then marketing these products that actually take you through the nutrients and how to make your own medicine and all of this well. Yoga every day, hikes, and all of the extra fun stuff. So I have some flyers for that as well. And then on our website, which again I can email you because I know it's a lot, we wanted to figure out how do we take what we're doing here, because you guys are blessed to be in Colorado and Denver, be able to come to see this. There's a lot of people across the country that love to see that how do we help navigated lifestyle, what does that mean? So we have an online membership site as well, where you can find videos of all of the workshops we do, all of the recipes. So kind of bringing this site to you guys on the website as well. It's basically an entire library of all of the videos. So every demo we do, the 3-day retreat that I just talked about, that's here in this room. So it's 16 hours of footage. You sign up on the website. Yeah, you sign up on the website. So anyway, that's a lot of information. And again, I'll
I didn't know until I heard her say Mark.
And then one quick question. I have someone who doesn't have
Cost plus.
a recipe.
Cost plus?
Right now.
Convenience store.
Is there anyone that can
Well, Mark.
No.
There was a guy, Mark, who looked just like him.
Oh, really?
Do you guys have any questions about
Oh, good.
what I just kind of went over? And then maybe while they're still serving lunch, I might go over this. The trip to Bali is October 14th through the 21st, and it is, I want to say 1945. There is 9 years. All of your meals, all of your accommodations. There's this really beautiful bungalows that we stay in. Everything but airfare. Because I just checked it a couple weeks ago, but it's anywhere between $900. You can find a good deal here. From other places, it can go up to about $1,200.
For just an FYI for the class coming up in Lafayette, I actually do have room for a dishwasher tuition, which is it's just $100 for the weekend. So it's a greatly reduced price. Everyone helps with the dishes, but I have a last minute opening for that. So if you guys are interested, and again, like our goal is to really simplify the whole plant-based lifestyle. And for me, this represents the future of food, which I see based on the sustainability factor alone, that it's going to be more plant-based, and also the future of medicine. It's just a returning back to the origins of medicine, which really looked at food as our first line of defense. So that's what we like to empower people with. And once I get this set up, a few more talking points, and then again, feel free to ask any questions that you have about plant-based lifestyle or naturopathic medicine. You want to talk about the cleanse?
So how's the Mintade? Very good. Good.
Especially in this hot 90-degree day, right?
Where can we have rose water or fresh lavender flowers to put in a frame?
Natural Grocers. They have a dried, for rose water, I mean, he showed you, this is usually in like the body care section, but we did contact the company, and it is also, you can use it internally. So I like to make my own. It's actually pretty simple to make, the rose water, but it's, it works just as well to use if they're fresh and organic, clean, fresh rose or lavender flowers.
So you get the rose petals, and how do you make the rose water?
You make an infusion, which is basically like a tea. You don't necessarily have to heat it. You can just infuse them in water for several hours, and then you just strain it, and that in itself makes the rose water. You can also make it just like a tea. You could boil the water to do a quick method, and yeah, you do it just like that. So you use either fresh or dry. Yeah.
How do you know if it's dry lavender or sweet?
I think same thing. You just have to kind of know the source, if it's food grade.
And organic also.
Yeah, I mean, and just go for organic, because I mean, really, that would be the main issue, is that you don't want to have anything sprayed on it or any toxins, or have it, I don't know, however else it would be processed, like if there's anything else in it, but typically it will be. This one is called Heritage Store, and they have some other like skin products and oils. I think they have like an almond oil and things that you can use to make your
The other thing that we're excited about is we're going to be doing as a community, a 21-day reboot. So we're going to be starting that in a couple of weeks, and the first week is going to be a pre-cleanse. So it's just like cleaning up your diet a little bit, maybe cutting out caffeine or sugar. That'll be more of a gentle introduction phase. And then during the cleanse itself, what we like to recommend is you go from heavier foods to lighter foods, and then your peak cleanse day would be the lightest foods that you have, and then you gradually start introducing heavier foods. So it's going to be a few days of raw vegan, and then some days of juice smoothies and broths, and then a few days of raw vegan again before going back into the post-cleanse, which will be, again, like a gentle, cleaner version. And Ashley and I have both been cleansing for many years, so it'll be something where you could have daily support as well.
Yeah, and I mean, these recipes are also probably inspired by us feeling ready to do a cleanse and eating a little bit lighter and still putting together flavors and foods that are helping to support our body. And what I find is that it's very important to personalize, to do a cleanse when you're ready to do a cleanse, and to really check in and make sure that it's the right timing for you, and that you do it in a way that is supportive and not going to be totally depleting. I mean, you might get a little bit tired, but so we do the 21 days, and that doesn't mean that you're fasting for 21 days. That can be beneficial beneficial for some people. For most people, it's better to kind of gradually go into it and to start kind of eliminating things that maybe you want to move out of your diet and to do this in a slow way. And things like caffeine and sugar can be really challenging for you. So we want to be able to support you if you want to eliminate some things and do that in a way where you're not going to be really miserable and do it gradually. And so we do the most intense is just the 3 days where it's basically liquid. So we do smoothies if you want to. You add in a little bit of protein powder if you want to, or you can do only liquids. And we do like a broth or a chicken broth and juices just to really give your body your digestive system a break. And then you gradually move back up to cooked food that's going to be pretty much gentle foods. And then we can talk to you more about how to kind of get back into your regular, and so just really pay attention to your body and how you feel when you're eating certain foods. So this is the lavender, the dried lavender. This is the one that they have here. And some may be a little bit darker or lighter, just depending on where they're grown. But this I would use. And it's organic, and it's a whole lot. So you just want to strain it. Nice.
Wow. So you put that only in drinks?
I like to infuse the lavender and then strain out the flowers. I'm going to wait till I get all this full.
And then you
know
the water kind of draws
I
in
wonder if we need
so that you have
spoons.
that nice flavor.
I think you might see if this one.
I don't even know what that is. Is that mean soaking in water?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Making a tea. A tea is an infusion.
Okay.
Yeah. And people do infusions with different substances. You can do an oil infusion. But yeah.
So what properties help with this lavender?
It is so many things. But so it's aromatic. So it helps actually with your respiratory system, like helping it also is calming, relaxing your nervous system. Most of us know that property that it has. When you smell it, you can kind of feel that. It helps with your digestion. And it also helps, basically your skin to work better.
Perfect.
So it's helping to
Perfect.
Move the acid out of your body and make it like more alkaline when you use it. So it's helping also with your dehydration.
Now, how much do you have? 1 cup a day, or what would you suggest an ounce of lavender?
Yeah.
With an infusion at tea.
Yeah.
Just wait to get them
That's interesting. For a dose, you really don't need that much. Like for a cup of tea, you would maybe put like a half to 1 tablespoon.
Oh, in an 8-ounce.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's pretty strong, so you may not even really need that much. So, this is why I love medicinal herbs, and I like to really talk about them in recipes and in food, so that you're getting. There are so many helpful qualities that they have that you have them in little amounts over time. Then you're getting all of those benefits, and it can also be used medicinally. It's just great to have in your pantry because every now and then, if you want to have a cup of tea, like just a relaxing cup of tea, or you can add it and blend it with different herbs for tea that way. So that's why we wanted to mention it in a recipe. It's all about like being creative and trying different things and noticing how your body feels in a relatively safe way, as long as you're doing it in small amounts.
One other little talking point is just when people ask like what our go-to meal is, and I like to refer to it as a monk bowl. So this is a simple way that you could start introducing variety into your diet. I think that's good to go. We have some, this is, what's that? There's 26, so I think we're good then.
There was a question.
Oh, sorry, who had the question?
There's a question.
Yeah. What was your question? I did use a little agave, yeah. But we talked about what you could change that up with, and coconut nectar is a good replacement for that.
And you could possibly use no sweetener in this. The coconut water is a little bit sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very tiny amount for the whole big batch because I used the coconut water as the base for that. And so this just is an idea, and it's a good way of thinking about template recipes. And it's a grain, a green, and a protein. And by rotating through, if you look at those as components and you rotate through each of those components, you could have a lot of variety. It's pretty much, we have it almost all the time. And because there's so much variety, we don't get bored with it. So what do you think you could use for the grain in that part of the recipe? Did someone say quinoa? Rice, quinoa, rice pasta, buckwheat, millet. You can rotate through different grains, polenta. And the greens are any vegetable of your choosing or combination of vegetables. And those could be steamed, raw, roasted, grilled, sauteed. And you just change up the veggies and you change the variety. And then what about plant-based protein? Protein. What can we have as protein? Nuts, seeds, tofu, tempeh. Quinoa actually has protein. The legumes are good plant-based sources of protein. What's amaranth also? That's a great grain for protein. So that's like a variety of ways that you could have a lot of different plant-based foods simple, and that's usually, if you look at a meal that's been satisfying, it usually has those components. Even a hummus wrap could be considered a monk bowl because the tortilla is the grain, the veggies are the green, and the hummus is the protein. So you'll see if any one of those components is missing, you don't have the same sense of satisfaction.
How's the soup? Good, yeah.
Does it need onion? Okay, good.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So the watermelon is also good and hydrating, and we did the Mintade, but you could actually do a watermelon. You could just basically add watermelon to that Mintade, and it's also another refreshing beverage like that.
And since the watermelon is one of the main reasons I wanted to come today, we're all eating watermelon this time of year, but probably most of us like me are always trying to figure out how do you pick a good one.
Oh, pick a good
A
one.
good one, yeah.
I think you just tap it, and if it, yeah.
As water.
What if it's a little soft to the touch? Does that mean it's getting old, or that doesn't?
I think so, yeah. A little bit soft, I would kind of shy away from.
Right.
Your safest bet is when they have them cut open, though. Then you could see for yourself what they look like. Yes?
Just a general plant-based diet question. What do you guys think about nutrients? People argue you can't get plant-based like B12 or D2.
That's a great. Did everyone hear that question? It was about people saying that we can't get all of our nutrients from a plant-based diet.
So I do recommend B12, and that might be because I'm a naturopath. I tend to want to be on the safe side, but I know plenty of vegans that don't take it. So I recommend testing. I don't think that it's great to take a bunch of supplements if you don't know if you need them. So there are certain things I do recommend getting tested for every now and then. Vitamin D for sure, B12, and then just like a basic blood draw can kind of give you an idea of where you're at, like what your blood cells look like, and that's just like a CBC is what they would normally do. So, and notice how you feel. So, we take vitamin D and B12. We have it every now and then. I don't take it every day. And then as far as the fats, we do a lot of hemp seeds and flax seeds. And for the DHA, the issue is the conversion, which you probably already know that. And maybe we're evolving to convert it. We don't know. This is like a nutrition piece that we're still learning about. So I did take it when I was pregnant. For the baby, you kind of start thinking a little bit differently. And we make sure that he has a lot of seeds. And every now and then I give DHA. I'm not a person that's like, oh my gosh, we have to have this every day. But it's worth a consideration. And I also, I wonder. I think it's a very individualized thing. So I think definitely paying attention to any changes in your energy or how you feel, or You know, with B12, that's probably the biggest one because you don't want to wait till you have some kind of neurological thing going on because it takes a while to get it back. But it's not a big deal to take like a liquid B12. And if you have the methyl issue of being able to use it, B12 injections, if you can find someone that can do that, a lot of people do that locally every now and then, that can really help too.
So it's a really good question, and I like to frame it because the American Dietetic Association or the Academy of Dietitians, their official position is that all of the body's nutritional needs can be met on a well-planned plant-based diet, and that applies to all of the life phases. So the vegan Gerber baby all the way up to pregnancy, adolescence. I like to refer people to the website veganbodybuilding.com, and these guys are like, they're super buffed out. There's winning weightlifting competitions. There's ultramarathon runners. The guy who ran the Appalachian Trail in the fastest length of time was a vegan. The guy was like considered the strongest man in the world who lifted the heaviest weights and carried it the furthest was a vegan. So a lot of these myths are going to be come to be seen for what they are, but I think the key is well planned. And so a lot of the issues that come up, like B12 and vitamin D and things like that, they're not just like vegan things. They're things that everyone needs to concern themselves with. So for me, I like nutritional yeast as a source of the B12, and then again, like Ashley said, like getting tested, I think is also good. Raf?
I was going to say, so plant-based milks are often fortified with B12 as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yep. Plant-based milks are fortified with B12 as well.
Yeah, so it's basically, and the American Academy of Dietitians is not like a hippie organization. Like they wouldn't put out a statement that if they didn't, and the Canadian dietitians have the same statement as well. I think the key is just a lot of people, some people become like a pastatarian when they become vegetarian, and they're probably not going to get all of their needs met. But if you look in terms of a whole food, plant-based diet, and keep this idea of a lot of variety, a lot of different colors, and not to get in the, like an eating rut. For me, I think it's just as effective as any other form of diet out there. You just have to put some, thought into it.
One quick follow-up on nutrition. Would you ever supplement vitamin A for
Just because, no. There are some immune protocols for like an acute sickness where you can dose high dose vitamin A, and it's been super effective. So because you're worried that maybe you're not absorbing it, is that what you're asking? Yeah, I mean, I don't typically. Sometimes I have it around for that, for like a really like acute like flu or cold or something like that. But ongoing, I just beta carotene. Yeah, and make sure that your digestion is doing well and supporting all of your body systems to make sure that you're absorbing it well and utilizing it well.
We'll take one more question and then we'll wrap it up, and then you could come up to us while we're cleaning up if you have any additional questions. Too much.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can have too much vitamin A, and I mean it's been implicated in some cancers with having too much vitamin A. So, yeah. I don't know the exact number, but I mean there are doctors that use pretty high doses, and I think that it became a little bit overboard. So it needs to be, like I said, everything should be individualized. For some people, it can be very beneficial, but for most people in general, they probably don't need to supplement it if they're getting enough variety of foods.
So our alarm clock is going on. I don't know if you heard our alarm clock going off. So I really thank you guys for taking the time out. And this is just a glimpse of what we like to offer to the community. We moved here several months ago, and so we have a lot of events, and there's a flyer there for our Doctor and Chef event, and then for the Vegan Fusion workshop as well. There's one coming up in, there's several events coming up in the Denver area, so please
we'll
check
be here
it out.
next month.
And we'll be here on September 6th in the evening, I think 6 o'clock. So we'd love to see you there. We'll have some fall recipes then. So,
Thank you.
Thank you guys, thank you.